Mark and I are technical account managers at RSD. We work directly with organization teams and then have our products implemented. We provide customer services and release information and different kinds of services to our customers. Our focus in this session today is twofold. I want to answer some basic questions and demonstrate some things. How can you use mainframe performance analysis reporting to communicate with and have an impact on your organization? And a new feature now available in ZTrim that allows the planning of tangible cost optimization initiatives using the ZTrim Operations Analytics tool. ZTrim Operations Analytics from RSD is the result of a 2-year collaboration with a community of mainframe performance experts. These experts primarily consult with major banks and insurance companies around the world. Our agenda today includes a discussion on mainframe modernization and some of those challenges.
Phone number.
ZTrim Operations Analytics from RSD, a deeper dive. And we'll actually do a live demo of the product. Mark will do the demo today, and he will demonstrate using a live instance of ZTrim Operations Analytics and not only show the basic KPIs and dashboards that are delivered with the product, but also how you can interact with those dashboards. And then we'll leave you with some next steps. Now, what do we know about mainframe processing across the globe today? Recently, I had the opportunity to attend the Gartner Summit and gathered some interesting insight while attending that summit. There were 76% of the respondents that were surveyed at that summit indicated that their mainframe processing will remain steady or grow. And I'm sure those people are actually asking, how does this affect their cost? Another important statistic we know is that 70% of critical business workload globally is processed by mainframe platforms. This directly results in 1.5 million transactions per second globally. The mainframe platform can be a critical component of business infrastructure, yet it also presents some challenges. It can be difficult to share meaningful metrics about the system with the business. Cost control remains very important and top of mind to everyone. And as Gartner reports, the IT and business partnership is in a critical state and needs attention and development. And that was a common theme across many presentations at that Gartner Summit. Gartner also makes some recommendations about the mainframe. First of all, they recommend assessing applications for selective migration off the platform. This is directly related to cost control. Also, assess workload placement to gain efficiency and optimization, again, related to cost. And then finally, conduct an application rationalization initiative for modernization and use the savings to fund digital initiatives across IT and across the business. Question is, how do you make these important decisions? What data and information are available? To optimize mainframe cost and accelerate modernization, information alone is not sufficient. There's access to meaningful information that will facilitate the conversations to enable optimization and modernization. First of all, it's important to focus on cost optimization. ZTrim allows you to analyze mainframe consumption using key performance metrics built into the product to gain insight for decision making. It's easy to use. We provide access to consumption information to any stakeholder in one click. And as we will demonstrate today, you can interact with the data as you analyze and plan and make decisions. And finally, communication. Easily communicate mainframe consumption data across the organization and facilitate a stronger partnership between IT and business leaders using meaningful dashboards built into the product. To start any modernization initiative takes action. Modernization and implementation of digital business requires a partnership between all stakeholders in the business. And for that scope of initiatives, sharing understood data is most important. In a research note on modernization initiatives by Gartner's Thomas Klinecht, we were able to participate in, and that included a recommendation for Z-Trim. There were two important points made. Application rationalization to align with business processes and strategies was a strong recommendation. And also, meaningful communication across all stakeholders, particularly between IT and the business units, was very important. And Z-Trim was actually selected by Thomas Klinek as the tool to enable organizations to take these actions. We're all concerned with any tool on measurable outcomes. We're all focused on measurement and results. Organizations benefiting from Z-Trim today include insurance, financial firms, and state agencies across the U.S. And in Europe, we're working with some major banks. What are we doing to help with proof of concepts? We propose you will realize 300% ROI in 9 months. It's a bold claim. Z-Trim Operations Analytics is easy to purchase with a subscription pricing model, priced per CPC. And we would love to do a 1-hour demo with your data, and more on that later. Part of the proof of concept. And then the product implements in 1 day. It's very easily implemented, and we can show that as well. Let's talk briefly about the architecture of Z-Trim. You may be asking those questions of yourself. What we're doing is we're using the SMF records that are already available in COS, specifically records 30, 70, 72, and 79. We can interface with the man files that are part of the SMF, or if you're already moved to Logstream, we can also use the IFA SMFDL file transfer as well. These files are transferred to the off-platform Linux server and ingested and grouped to support primary consumption KPIs already built into the product. Z-Trim Operations Analytics is built on Elasticsearch. This is a scalable solution and can store tremendous volumes of data. If you're not familiar with Elasticsearch, you can actually go to YouTube and search Verizon Elasticsearch for a compelling video by their director of search implementations and how he details how Verizon is using Elasticsearch in a repository with 650 billion documents. It's very impressive. Again, you can Google Verizon Elasticsearch and watch that video. It's a very good presentation. And now I'll turn the presentation over to Mark so that he can demo Z-Trim Operations Analytics. Mark?
Thank you, Craig. I'm just going to pull up my browser window here. I've already contacted our server, and I just have a couple of notes I want to start with. Well, first of all, greetings and welcome to the Z-Trim Operations Analytics demo. I'm Mark Perillo, introduced myself earlier, Technical Account Manager at RSD with Craig. We're demoing Z-Trim Operations Analytics version 1.2, which is available January 31st. And as you can see on the screen, I'm contacting via my Chrome browser our Z-Trim server. We had an overview of this environment in the webinar presentation. Just a couple of terms before we actually get started. Just for reference, we'll be talking about the R4H, or rolling 4-hour average, that is used by IBM in their SCRT, or subcapacity reporting tool, to calculate your MLC, your monthly license charge. This MLC is measured in MSUs, or million service units. So Z-Trim Operations Analytics provides stakeholders information about the system by bundling related KPIs, or key performance indicators, into dashboards, which are just collections of KPIs to provide specific information. Role-based dashboards are provided as an out-of-the-box feature of Z-Trim. They've been available since version 1.1. If we look here on the screen under the dashboards, these first 4 are the ones that are included with the product. We've got the Business Application Manager's dashboard, the Director dashboard, the IT Operations Manager dashboard, and the IT Performance and Capacity Manager's dashboard. For this demo, we're going to be using the first 2. We'll start with the Director dashboard, and then we'll be going to the Business Application Manager's dashboard. Two very different stakeholders, but very good for this demo. Gives you an appreciation for the customization of the product. We are already at the director's dashboard. We will start here. This dashboard has 6 KPIs. We will cover the first 4 in the demo. Now, the very first one that we see here are the R4H peaks for the month, starting with January up to today. And you notice on the right that our actual R4H peak so far has occurred on the 15th of January and accounts for 939 MSUs. And looking quickly at the graph, you can see that each entry on the graph is 1 day. And that's about it, a good summary. Scrolling to the second KPI, the R4H peaks by entity, we see pretty much the same data, but this time the actual workloads are broken down by entity. Now in our vernacular terms, an entity is a collection of LPARs that we logically group together to show our business workloads on the system. In our demo system, we have a banking application, so we see the commercial banking, financial banking, and personal banking. Now the next KPI is actually featuring a different time range. Instead of the month to current, we are looking at the R4H analysis by workload type. We're looking at just yesterday's work, and we're looking at that R4H peak. It was a mild day. We only had 431 MSUs. But we're looking at the WLM categories and their contributions to rolling 4-hour average. So we see the contributions of batch, other workloads, and transaction processing as it applies to the R4H for the day. Now the last KPI that I want to cover here in the director dashboard is the MSU usage for the past 13 months by entity. And this is a great visual KPI that gives us, at a glance, our system utilization over the last 13 months, which systems are the biggest contributors, and whether we have any trends or sudden spikes. Ours is fairly smooth. There's an entry for each month going across the KPI. Okay, well that's about it for this KPI. We're going to spend more time in the Business Application Manager's dashboard. Now the first thing that we notice is that the first 2 KPIs that we see are the same ones that we saw in the Director dashboard, the R4H peaks and the R4H peaks by entity. Spoiler alert here, there are some KPIs that are found in more than one dashboard. This is done so that we can have some common focal points between the stakeholders. Sometimes this simple KPI makes sense to a lot of people. It's included in their dashboards. Okay, well, once we get beyond these first 2 summary KPIs, we're into the KPIs that allow us to do MSU optimizations. This is the new feature in version 1.2 that allows us to identify both applications and programs that are contributing to the rolling 4-hour average and take action and actually track and get a monetary value, come up with an estimate for where our savings are going to be. Starting off, we have the R4H analysis by application, and to the right you see the top consumers. As you can see on the graph, we're actually applying application names to different jobs in the system, so we can come up with meaningful categories if we want to do an optimization. We've already got an optimization in place. We'll be taking the HR application, which is here in purple, which contributes to a rolling 4-hour average, as we see, and it will be done accordingly. We have one other optimization already done, and that's for a program category or a vendor software product. These next 2 KPIs, the R4H analysis by program category, and the top programs deal with program products like IBM's Kix or our EOS 360, IBM's TDS. And they're all broken down here. Now I'm going to expand this KPI. We've already got an optimization built for EOS View that I'll discuss when we get to the optimizations. More importantly, our TDS application that we see here is contributing, this application, is contributing to rolling 4-hour average. The job is running from 2 a.m. to about 9. And it's at the tail end that is actually impacting the R4H. We're going to try moving it to start at midnight, so hopefully it will no longer be as large a contributor. We are going to select TDS here. You notice right away that we have a simulated R4H savings to the right of 10.75 MSUs. More importantly, in the upper right, we see an Add MSU button. Clicking that will actually bring up the Add MSU Optimization window, we have the opportunity to put in some notes. If I can type. It's going to be a schedule change for TDS. Now we're saying there could be a saving of 10.75 MSUs. We're going to estimate we're going to save 6 MSUs, or about 56%. The time to implement, we're going to say it's going to take 2 months. It's a simple scheduling change, but it has to go through our IT schedulers. And under frequency, we're going to pick monthly. This job runs daily, and it reports to the monthly rolling 4-hour average every month. Completing this window, we see that we can now submit this optimization. And it is now with the other optimizations that were defined in the system. At this point, we are done with this KPI. We're going to use the settings icon in the upper right to go to the ZTrim Analytics Administration and Settings page. First, we'll see that we're on the upper left tab, the MSU Optimizations, right where we want to be. The first 2 optimizations that I discussed that are already done were for the HR application and for EOS View. EOS View allows us to take, we have a product, EOS 360 for open systems. This entire workload can be moved off platform. So we're saying 6 MSU savings after 3 months. Once the EOS 360 for open systems installed, we have a bridge product that can move all your reports offline or off platform. And then you'll realize savings because you will not be contributing to the rolling 4-hour average. Our change, the optimization programs, our schedule changes here. You'll notice there's no owner. In this case, it's going to be IT, the IT schedulers. And you'll see that we have savings total here of 14 MSUs. Real quickly, there's a show amounts button. The actual amounts come from our MSU annual cost and some other, our currency, et cetera, some other settings. And bottom line is we're paying $15,000 per MSU per year for a monthly license charge. If we go back to the optimizations, we'll see that these optimizations, if you do the math, 2 MSUs rated yearly on the rate is $30,000. 6 MSUs comes out to $90,000. 6 MSUs on this optimization comes out to $90,000. We see on the right that they're actually going to be affected at different times due to just the scheduling nature and the work being done for these jobs. They're all going to contribute monthly. Finally, we can go to this summary page and actually see what the savings are going to be over time. And we'll see, I'm going to actually hit the show amount button now as well. We'll see that after 3 months, we've already got a 6 MSU savings, which accounts for about $7,000. But what's impressive is that 3 substantive but not huge optimizations that were exposed by using the ZTrim product, after 24 months, saved over $360,000, which I think is awesome. Okay, well, that's it for the live demo. We have time at the end for any questions that you may have or any clarifications of what we did. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to send this presentation back to Craig.
Thanks, Mark. Compelling demo. And as we conclude the webinar, let's summarize a few important points. As Mark demonstrated, ZTrim Operations Analytics uses well-known KPIs for metrics associated reporting the rolling 4-hour peak and average. This is a strategic product decision by RSD to provide these types of important and useful metrics. ZTrim provides reporting on various aspects of resource consumption, and you can interact actively with the data. You can configure batch window cutoffs for daily SLA tracking, create meaningful dashboards for stakeholders besides the ones that are already pre-built from the indisputable source of data from the mainframe. You can exploit user subscriptions to automate distribution of information to your stakeholders. Interact with the data using multiple filters and analysis dimensions by entity, workload, application, LPAR, CPC, Sysplex. We could go on and on, actually. Identify specific optimization opportunities using the analysis from ZTrim Operations Analytics. Mark demonstrated that very clearly, and create and generate reporting data to actually substantiate optimization initiatives for your organization. Now let's talk about some next steps. There are some basic questions business and systems decision makers are asking. What is running on the mainframe? What is the consumption? How is available system capacity used by system, by entity, by application, by workload? What is the impact on the business? What is the impact of optimizing consumption on specific workloads? The most compelling demo is seeing SMF data from your system in ZTrim. It's not unusual for clients to express surprise by something that they see about their systems that was unexpected. Mark and I have both experienced this several times in working with customers. After they see their data, they start asking questions, and they have additional questions to discuss, sometimes asking us questions, and we're kind of having to direct them back to them. Well, these are the types of questions that an analysis of this data promotes. Use the SCRT to identify your R4HA peak for the month, perhaps your peak month of the year. Pull your SMF records for a 1-month period, and ensure that period includes your typical R4H peak. You can provide the SCRT and SMF files to us, and we will schedule a ZTrim demo using your data. And if you have an interest in that, you can certainly contact Mark or I, and we can provide a little bit more information. We have a specification sheet with some more information and what the process looks like. And with that, we'll enter into a question and answer period. Try to answer what questions you might have.